Good evening, everybody. My sincere thanks to everybody to conduct this small program on behalf of 100th filing of D.V. Rao Advocates. Actually, today we are conducting this program just to give an encouragement to D.V. Rao Advocates. But along with your support today, many of my friends and advocates are requesting me to give a detailed note about the locus standi in public interest litigation. So, it is my pleasure to start this program with detailed note on locus standi of public interest litigation. In public interest litigation, the role of locus standi is very important. Questions of standing may involve consideration of existence of an actual case, issue, contest or controversy, provisions of the Constitution or any law shown to be or intended to be in protection of any right or interest, the infringement of or an adverse impact on such right or interests owing to the action or conduct under challenge, and the scope of redressability for remedial measures that can be granted by courts. And some of the factors to be looked into while deciding locus standi in a public interest litigation. Those are a real grievance or injury must exist. The impact or state action must be demonstrated. Access to justice in substantive or prudential terms must be shown to be involved. The demand to do justice and the failure to rectify the wrong is a relevant factor. The inappropriateness, futility, inadequacy, onerous or burdensome nature of alternative administrative process may have to be established, except that in public interest issues, the need for dispatch and expedition or the importance of engagement of governmental attention at the highest level may be warranted direct scrutiny by courts. Examination of cases which have persuaded courts to entertain them as in espousal of public interest also shown that primarily the nature of the issues or concern raised in those cases and their impact or the rights or interest of classes or sections of the community had prompted relaxation of the standing test and articulation of appropriate test relevant to Indian context. The criterion that will be applied may be, however, vary from case to case, thus they can be generally identified without being said to be exhaustive. This criterion can be: first one, the nature of issue or matter sought to be brought up for consideration before the court or special constitutional features of importance which justify the mere presentation of the issues before the court. In such cases, the presence or otherwise of the party concerned may not be of any significance for the continuous engagement of the court in the consideration of the matter. The issue or matter or concern based on the constitutional features or otherwise being such, it can be brought up for consideration by any person of the community or a citizen. The issue is a matter of concern or importance or interest to a group or class or a section of community alone, and whether it is proper that only any person or group of persons or associations having a relationship with that class or group or as a member of that class or group or section be granted access to the court. The Supreme Court has given a set of illustrative guidelines regarding the locus standi. Some of those are: the courts must encourage genuine and bona fide public interest litigations and effectively discourage and curb the public interest litigations filed for extraneous considerations. Instead of every individual judge devising his own procedure for dealing with the public interest litigation, it would be appropriate for each High Court to properly formulate rules for encouraging the genuine public interest litigation and discouraging the public interest litigation filed with oblique motives. Consequently, the Supreme Court requests that the High Courts who have not yet framed the rules should frame the rules within 3 months, means at the time of the judgment. And the Registrar General of each High Court is directed to ensure that a copy of the rules prepared by the High Court is sent to the Secretary General of the Supreme Court immediately thereafter. However, another guideline is that the court should prima facie verify the credentials of the petitioner before entertaining a public interest litigation. The court should be prima facie satisfied regarding the correctness of the contents of the petition before entertaining a public interest litigation. The court should be fully satisfied that substantial public interest is involved before entertaining the petition. The court should ensure that the petition that involves larger public interest, gravity, and urgency must be given priority over the petitions. The courts, before entertaining the public interest litigation, should ensure that there is no personal gain, private motive, or oblique motive behind filing the public interest litigation, etc. Compilation of guidelines to be followed for entertaining letters or petitions received as public interest litigations. These are also the guidelines given by the Supreme Court of India. Bonded labor matters, neglected children, non-payment of minimum wages to workers, exploitation of casual workers, and complaints of violation of labor laws except in individual cases, petitions from jails complaining of harassment for premature release. There are some conditions: seeking release after having completed 14 years in jail, death in jail, transfer, release on personal bond, speedy trial as a fundamental right, petitions against police for refusing to register a case, harassment by police, and death in police custody, petitions against atrocities on women, in particular harassment of bride burning, rape, murder, kidnapping, etc. Petitions complaining of harassment or torture of villagers by co-villagers, or by police from persons belonging to SC and ST and EBC, and petitions pertaining to environment pollution, disturbance of ecological balance, drugs, food adulteration, maintenance of heritage and culture, antiques, forest and wildlife, and other matters of public importance. Similarly, petitions from riot victims and family pensions, etc. All the categories of these subjects can be considered as public interest litigations by the court. Even if a letter addressed to the Chief Justice of any court to be and must be entertained as public interest litigation according to the guidelines of the Supreme Court of India. However, by relaxing the rule of locus standi, the Supreme Court, in another case of People's Union for Democratic Rights versus Union of India, observed as that the traditional rule of standing, which confines access to the judicial process only to those to whom legal injury is caused or legal wrong is done, has now been jettisoned by the Supreme Court, and the narrow confines within which the rule of standing was imprisoned for long years as a result of inheritance of the Anglo-Saxon system of jurisprudence have been broken, and a new dimension has been given to the doctrine of locus standi, which has revolutionized the whole concept of access to justice in a way not known before to the Western system of jurisprudence. It is therefore necessary to evolve a new strategy by relaxing this traditional rule of standing in order that justice may become easily available to the lowly and lost. And just because of the requisition of my friends and other advocates and the participants, I had given a small note on this locus standi. But we are giving training to some of the junior advocates and to the advocates, those who are having interest in filing of public interest litigations, and however we are giving training to the NGOs, those who are interested to file public interest litigations, all the aspirants who are interested to get more details about the public interest litigations and to get more details about the locus standi, you are most welcome to our office, which is very nearer to you, and you can collect the details regarding this. However, my sincere thanks to my colleagues and friends to conduct this small program. On behalf of felicitation to D.V. Rao Advocates on successful completion of their 100th filing. Thank you, one and all.